If something feels good to do before, during, and after doing it, it's something that you're more likely to keep doing. How do you form a habit? Well, the way we traditionally look at... That was a spider crawling across the lens. How we traditionally look at setting habits is we pick a habit which we'd like to instill, and then we force ourselves to do it. And if you're breaking away from trying to use force or willpower or discipline ongoingly to free up a certain amount of consciousness and energy for other things in life, things that you want, right? So you want his habit to be an effortless thing to keep up. And if you've struggled with setting habits and discipline in the past, then this is probably where you're at developmentally. You're ready for effortless habits. The only way to do this is to notice how things feel before, during, and after doing them. When you're using willpower and discipline, or using your strategic mind to set a habit, you're picking something and then deciding this is what you'll do. My suggestion for a more sustainable, more sort of whole self-alignment oriented habit installation system is to start to pay attention to how things feel before, during, and after doing them, and let that be your guide. If something feels good to do before, during, and after doing it, it's something that you're more likely to keep doing. So let's take like flossing your teeth. So at first you have the thought, I should floss my teeth. Maybe you go to the dentist and he or she is like, you should probably floss your teeth. So you come home, you have some floss, or you use a water pick or something like that, and you do it. The typical habit pathway is that you might do it for a week or 2 or 3 before it falls away. Maybe not for everyone, but this is the typical pathway for most habits. Especially when you feel pressed for time, you feel anxious, you're like, oh, I can barely even brush my teeth for 1.5 minutes, let alone 2 minutes, let alone floss, I don't have time for that, blah, 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 right? So there's a lot going against the formation of this habit. Until you slow down. And notice how it feels, how your teeth feel before flossing, how it feels during flossing, and how your teeth feel after flossing. So you end up using, in some ways, discipline or willpower, but it's not to get yourself to do the behavior as much as it is to focus your attention on the experience as a consequence of the behavior. And there will be sort of a somatic experience in how your mouth feels, and then also in how you feel about having done a loving and kind thing for your body. And taking note of that. And the more you start to take note of that, the more, all things being equal, you start to choose behaviors that are love-oriented behaviors that feel good. Now, the one obstacle to this is that there is some pain for most of us that wants to pull us unconscious, that wants to pull us out of doing loving and kind things towards ourselves. maybe you're present to that experience right now. It's the saboteur. It is the feeling of inadequacy or smallness or helplessness. It needs your attention. And so when it comes up, there's a feeling-oriented meditation. I'll link it in the description. I would try to do that and sit with this experience. Get a sense of what it wants you to hear, what it's saying. It will sabotage you to get your attention until you listen. If you've ever been with a little kid, the kid might start by asking nicely for something, for your attention. Often kids just want attention. And they'll escalate until they're doing something that upsets you. Because if it upsets you, they get your attention. And that's all they want. And that's how feelings work often as well. So 2 parts. Notice the experience when you're setting the habit. And get a feeling for how this feels good. And then when you start to have that obstacle experience, that saboteur experience show up, take some time to sit with it. Don't ignore it. Don't try to force your way past it, because then you're going to get exhausted. It doesn't work that way. It might have some thoughts about what you could do better about this particular habit. It might have some fears about what might happen in your life if you continue on with this habit. For example, if you get in better shape, you might get more attraction from people, and that might trigger some painful experience, some sense of unlovability or unworthiness or abandonment or something like that. And so you won't be able to stick to an exercise habit if you have something like that going on, or if you have maybe even a sexual trauma where the attention of someone of the gender that abused you is being drawn to you, which might trigger that pain, right? So that's just an example of how we have these sort of competing commitments that we aren't aware of that show up in this saboteur feeling, insecurity, smallness, that really are just highlighting the path towards healing and towards not having obstacles that get in the way of doing things that feel good for ourselves, that feel good to ourselves, that make a life full, rich, enjoyable, loving, and authentic. All right, take care. Thanks for watching.